If you could only do one book marketing tactic for your book release, I would recommend that you do ARCs. An ARC stands for Advanced Review Copy, or some people say Advanced Reader Copy. And the idea behind that is simply that you as the author are giving readers, specific readers that you choose, a free copy of the book in exchange for an honest review. I know, giving away your book might feel really crazy, especially to brand new authors. I know it did to me, but there's actually a lot of benefits to this, okay? First of all, there's obviously the reviews themselves. Those first reviews are really hard to get. And so if you can get somebody like your ARC team to get the ball rolling, I promise they come easier after those first few. They obviously also give you credibility, and that's huge because if there's 0 reviews on a book, I am sure you felt this way as well, where you're like, is that actually any good? I'm not sure. So as soon as you get a few reviews on there, people can read them and think, well, okay, somebody else liked it, so maybe I'll give it a chance. Number 3, it's going to give you exposure because those readers, even though you gave them a free book, they could potentially go out and start doing some marketing for you simply by talking about your book and telling their friends, whether it's just in their friend groups or on their like Goodreads review friends or whatever you want to call that. And then also they could talk about it on social media as well. And all of that is like free publicity. And speaking of free publicity, you can actually share their marketing content as your own marketing content. For example, what do I post on social media today? Well, let's scroll on Goodreads. There's a review from an ARC reader. Let's share that. That is amazing marketing for your book, especially leading up to release. So again, so many benefits. There's actually one more I wrote down that I almost forgot, which is you're getting initial readers for your book as well. And when you start out, every reader really matters. Like they still matter later on. That was a weird way to say it, but especially when you're starting out and you only have like a handful of people to be your excited fans, it can be really amazing to have those ARC readers in your corner and, like I said, talking about your book. So that's why we do ARCs as authors, but how do we do them? That's really the most important question and probably why you're here. So today I'm actually going to be sending out ARCs for The Secret Curse. Hold on, what am I doing? I should be holding the book up. This guy right here. And so I'm not actually sending physical ARCs, although you can, but my personal strategy is to send ebook ARCs because it's actually completely free. It does take some time though, so I will point out that there is a paid option, which is NetGalley, and I did this video as well if you're curious. I'll link it below. But typically for for every single release, I have also sent ARCs manually, which is what I'm going to show you in today's video. It's really just 3 steps. The first step is, of course, you need an ARC team. So gathering your ARC team, how to find them, we'll talk about that. Secondly, creating the ebook version of the ARC. And I like to do a few extra, I'll just show you when we get there. And then last but not least, actually sending the book to your ARC team. And I guess I would also say there's a 4th step, like a bonus step, which is pretty important, to actually ask those readers to review. So we'll talk about all 4 of those things. Let's get into it. Step 1 is your ARC team, and I like to use a Google form is the right word, to just create something to ask if people are interested. I used to make one for like each individual book. And then for this series, I decided to create this form that I'm about to show you for not just the first book, but to say like, hey, if you're interested, if it goes well, if you remembered to leave a review, I'll also consider you for the second 2 books in the series. And so that's actually my current ARC team, is the wonderful, amazing people who started out reviewing book 1 and then also read and reviewed books 2, and now they're about to get book 3 for me, and I'm super excited. Even though this is the book that's going out, I'm actually going to be showing you the ARC form, sign-up form for book 1 in the series, because that's the last time that I asked for ARC readers. So that's why you'll see this little banner at the top. Now, really quick, if you click here on the customize option in Google Forms, you can actually scroll down and click this image option, and you can see I just uploaded an image that I made in Canva. Very, very simple, but I like to customize it. It looks pretty. I feel like it makes it more exciting to readers to see that, but you don't have to. You'll see at the top here that I did not have a lot of responses because I think I only shared this form with patrons. I was very, very exclusive. I was like, I don't need a big team. In the past, however, with the Stolen Kingdom, I remember I had over 100 people, and I let all of them, almost all of them. There was a couple that I was like, yeah, you're not following directions. But for the most part, I was like, let's let everybody have it. This time around, I was a lot more exclusive. I was like, I want the people who are truly interested in this story. So that just gives you a range of how many people you could say yes to. You could say yes to everybody who applies, or you could say, I'm planning to give out 10 or 20 and I'm going to pick the top people, and that's okay too. So what I did is I wrote this brief description of what they're signing up for, trying to be super clear so they know what they're getting into, and if they're interested, feel free to copy this generally. I will not have this form available because I don't want people to be signing up on the back end, so I usually close signups and then you can't see the form. So sorry in advance for those of you who will ask, but you can copy this if you're willing to take the time to like watch the screen, copy it over. Basically, I just said what an ARC is here at the top. Then I said, before you fill out this form, read carefully, it's not guaranteed. Make sure you follow instructions. That's how I weed people out, because if they're not able to follow instructions clearly, then how on earth are they gonna remember to leave a review? That's my theory. I'm saying I'm not paying them because that's actually not allowed. And this is what they are agreeing to read and review the book by a specific date, which in this case was the release date for The Secret Gift. Then I put when they'll find out if they receive a copy, if selected, where they're going to receive the book. So I'm just making it very, very clear how this works. And then I personally send all of my ARCs through Kindle. It's just what works for me. The nice thing about that is you don't have to own a Kindle. I think that throws a lot of people off, but I don't own a Kindle. I just have free app there on my phone, and that's a free app, like I said, but they could also read on their computer as well. For me, it just feels like the easiest option, and that's what I prefer. So if they're interested in getting a book from me, they have to be willing to do that. I ask for their first name, last name, or initial, just so I can tell people apart if there's somebody with the same name. I also ask for their regular email address. That's where I'm going to be contacting them to be like, hey, you got the book. FYI, here's what I expect from you. Here's the rules or whatever. But then there's this section here on a Kindle email address. I literally created a YouTube video with a tutorial on how to find their Kindle email address. I'll link it below this video if you want to use it to send it to anybody. You absolutely can, feel free. And right below that, I have instructions on how to add my email as an approved sender. I actually deleted my email because I don't want to get emails from anybody, but you would put your email there and then say again, if you need help, watch my 1-minute tutorial, which again, I'll link below if you want to send it to anybody. It's super easy to find, actually. Then come the questions where I'm trying to like weed out the people who actually aren't interested. They're just trying to get a free book, not actually do the work. So I said, have you read any of my books before? If they have, they're a lot more likely to be interested, right? It's okay if you don't have any other books out, just don't do that question. But then I asked, where do you like to review books? Check all that apply, because if they're more frequently reviewing and they have multiple places, that's also a good sign. I asked them to paste a link to a review they've done for either one of my books or another author's books. Again, this is proof to me that they've at least once before in their history taken the time to leave a review. And then I understand the following and accept the following. If selected for the ARC team, I'll receive a copy 2 weeks or more before the release date. I will not share this file with anybody or allow others to access it. I will not receive compensation. Bethany will use my email address, etc., etc. And then yes or no, do you accept or not? I also like to add, sometimes I remember to do this, and probably should just do this in my forums in the future, but I like to say, you can absolutely share little excerpts of the story, like a little page that you're reading. Just don't share massive amounts. And then I put a little picture at the bottom that kind of highlights this last sentence so that they don't come and ask me like, did I get it? Did I get in? I just say, hey, I'll let you know if you're chosen. If you filled out the form correctly, you will hear from me. So it's not super hard, but it is enough questions that the people who are lazy and again aren't willing to do the work, it does weed them out, I think, a little bit. I typically share the link to that form. I actually put it in my bio and then I share it multiple times on social media. For me, that's YouTube community platform and Instagram. Maybe going forward in the future, TikTok. I don't know. I still haven't decided if I can handle a third platform, but I like to share on social media at least 2 or 3 times, if not more than that, because not everybody's going to sign up right away. And one tip that I heard early on when I was working on my debut Evelyn's number was to actually share the first chapter of the story if you're comfortable. So what I did for that book, because I was gathering my team for the very, very first time ever, was I actually created a Google Doc with the first chapter in it, and I linked that in my ARC form, and I said, hey, if you're interested but you're not sure yet, click here to read the first chapter and see if it's your vibe, see if you're still interested, and if so, continue filling out the form. So that's a little extra work, but I think it can also benefit you. And you could even share like snippets of the book or teasers or what the book is about, like the back blurb, for example, to potentially get ARC readers interested. And then of course, You also should probably share before you're asking for ARC readers what an ARC reader even is, because that could put people off as well. If they're like, you're asking for a what now? I don't know what that is, so that can't be me. But if you're like, hey, I'm asking for readers who are interested in a free copy in exchange for an honest review, if that interests you, sign up here in this link in my bio. That will be a lot more likely to grab people's attention. Wait, before we go to step 2, I just realized we still have to talk about choosing the people who sign up. Some people prefer to go really small, but my theory is that honestly, not every ARC reader will be able to follow through. Things happen. It's frustrating on our side as the authors. We really, really want to always get the review in exchange for the free book, but there's no guarantee. So I like to think of it as 50% hopefully will follow through, which if I have 20 ARC readers this time around for The Secret Curse, that would mean that hopefully my goal is at least 10 reviews during release week. Anything more than that would be even better, and I really, really hope for that, but at least 10 during release week would be my goal. So that's why I chose to do 20 people. In the end, I'm going to tell you a little secret. You could start out with a few and then send more. You could technically even send ARCs after a release. I know it says advance review copies, but technically you can send free books anytime you want to. So if you're like, you know what, I haven't got a lot of reviews, I'm going to offer a couple more free books to these specific people. You could do that as well. All right, step 2, we're creating the EPUB file so that we can actually send the book. So it's a very specific file that you need to send to Kindle called an EPUB. And I wrote notes to myself. I have 7 steps here. Okay, so it's not too hard. And the first step is honestly just making an account with Draft2Digital. That's what I use. This is technically a publishing company that indies work with, or print-on-demand company. I don't know exactly what to call them. It's a company where you can publish your ebook to a bunch of different online vendors like Amazon, Apple, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, etc. They actually publish print books as well now, but really our purpose today in this video is not at all publishing related, and you don't have to publish through them to use this awesome tool that they have to create an EPUB file. After you make an account, the first step that you're going to do is click on the My Books tab. You're going to go and click Add a New Book. That's going to bring you to a details page, and if you're publishing on Draft2Digital, you can fill it out. I have this whole video on how to upload specifically if you want more specific information, but you could also just leave most of it blank. So typically that's where you'll put your Word doc, you'll upload it, and then it's going to turn that into an EPUB file as we go through these steps. You're going to click to go forward to the layout page. Now, I just skip right past this layout page because I already have a formatted document. Most of you probably will. This is basically just a place where you can add some extra formatting if you want to, if you don't already have it. So I skip past this and go to the preview tab, and this is where you get to actually see your book and preview it. You want to make sure that you actually do click through your book, take a good look at it, make sure everything's looking good. Just at each page really briefly to make sure everything looks good, that the formatting did come through well, and that it is the correct book file even, just to make sure before you go and send it to your readers, right? But on this page, I also love how Draft2Digital has this extra little formatting goodness where you can add kind of headers, I guess, chapter headers, and you can also add a drop caps for that first letter if you want to. It's just a stylistic thing. You absolutely don't have to do it, but you can, and I think it looks good, makes the book look more fancy. If you were going to publish on Draft2Digital, you could move on to the next page as well and do all that. But here on this page is where you get your EPUB file. You just scroll down and there's actually 3 different file types, MOBI, PDF, and EPUB, and you click that to get your ARC file EPUB, and then you're ready to move on to step 3. Third and final step is to actually send it to your Kindle so that they can read. Boom. So I'm going to show you how to do that, and I'm also going to show you, it came out really tiny, I'm going to want to fix that. Oh good, they can zoom in. So I just created a little graphic with a note to my ARC team. I'll share that in a second if you want to also write something similar to your ARC team as a thank you. But you've got your ARC team, and you've got your EPUB file. Now it's just a matter of getting that file to your ARC readers and getting the show on the road. We kind of touched on this earlier when we were talking about the Google form, but just in case you didn't catch it, there is 2 steps that a reader has to do for the book to reach their Kindle. The first one is you have to know where to send the book, which means they have to give you their Kindle specific email. So I'll show you where to find that. And then secondly, you need your email that you're going to be sending the book from to be approved by them as an approved sender. If those 2 things don't happen, they will not get the book. Just FYI. So I try to make that super clear during the sign up, and actually you probably saw that my form required them to go and get those 2 pieces of information early on. Or you could screenshot this and send this to them as well, or you could click the link to that 1-minute tutorial below. Any of those options work, but the idea is to get their Kindle email and make sure they've added your email as an approved sender to be able to do this 3rd step. When you go to email them the book, if you have multiple emails, make sure you're using the one that they approved. Just a little note, because I have accidentally tried to send readers a book from the wrong email before. You're going to do 1 ARC reader at a time. I've tried doing a bulk send, nobody got it. So just FYI, 1 reader at a time. You'll put their Kindle email in the to line. You'll attach the ebook. Then you're gonna make sure that there's absolutely nothing in the body of the email or in the subject line. Absolutely nothing. You want it to be completely blank. And then click send. It's that simple. That will send it directly to their Kindle as long as they approved you and they gave you the correct Kindle email. They've got it in their Kindle just like that. It literally arrives a few seconds later and they can click on it and start reading. But they don't know that it's there. So what I like to do is go through all of the people on my ARC team, send each person individually a book, then go and send a group email to everybody to let them know they got their copy and give them some instructions. I put myself as the recipient, and then I use this, what's it called? The CC? No, BCC, which keeps everybody's information in their email private, and I put all the other emails in the BCC line. I'm basically letting them know it's not yet been proofread so that if they see any typos, they're not going to judge it too harshly because it's not the final. That's very common, by the way, but you can wait till you finish proofreading. I just couldn't wait. I wanted them to have the book, and my copies are very, very clean typically. And then I also said you should already have it in your Kindle, and I put some links there if they want to add it to their TBR or share the link to the book on online vendors anywhere. I forgot to tell my ARC readers that they're also getting a sneak peek at the cover for the omnibus because that's in the back of the book. So maybe I'll tell them at the 1 week mark. We'll talk about that in a second. But you might be thinking, wow, this email is really short. That's because I also put a note. Again, I'm annoyed that I didn't check this first. So they'll have to kind of expand it. But I put this note in the front. It's just a little graphic I made in Canva, and I wrote, you're getting super early access to The Secret Curse 3 weeks before it releases. It's not yet been proofread, so I kind of reminded them. And then I said, I seriously can't wait to hear what you think. I will send you a reminder to review on Goodreads in 1 week, plus a reminder to copy and paste that review over to Amazon once the book goes live. So I'm being very clear with them that I do have expectations for that review, and they did agree to me asking them for that review when they first signed up for this, so they're totally understanding of that, but it's good to remind them. So let's just jump over to that 4th and final bonus step that I think a lot of authors forget, or maybe sometimes just get a little uncomfortable with it, and that's asking them to leave that review that they promised to leave. You might be like, Bethany, you just said that people don't always leave a review, so I'm confused. Do we ask them or do we leave them alone? What do we do? I like to remind them 2 to 3 times and then let it go. The first reminder is usually Goodreads because you can't review on most vendors until the book is live. Amazon for sure, and I think most of the other vendors as well. But Goodreads lets people review before the release. So that's my #1 place that I start asking them to do about a week after the book is out. That's not me assuming that they've all finished in a week because not everybody reads that fast. Some people might not have started it at all, but that reminder to review might also remind them to read the book. So I'll typically just send out something short like, hey, this is your reminder. Here's the links to make it easy for them. Thank you in advance. I really appreciate it. It helps me out a lot. Kind of a reminder of how this helps the book have a successful release and things like that. I always say, if you have any questions, let me know. Stuff like that. The second reminder email that I'll send is as soon as the book is live on all retailers. So the moment that I have a link to the book live on Amazon, I send it to my ARC team. I'm like, hey, it's live, celebrate with me, and please, please, please take a minute to leave a review. And something I'm gonna say this time around is this is time sensitive. So if you have 5 minutes, please, 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 to just copy paste that Goodreads review over to Amazon, because it can take Amazon up to a day or 2 to even allow that review to be visible. And the more reviews I can get on the release day for that book, the better. So that is my goal, is to just really, really, really push that first week and say, hey, this is when it really, really matters. Sometimes 2 emails is enough. Often I just leave it there because my ARC team is amazing and they're very on top of it. As soon as they've read, they do really try to get that review in for me. But in some cases, I usually am tracking and I'll mark down, okay, this person emailed me back, they said they left a review. This person emailed me back, they said they left it. Okay, that leaves, you know, like say these two people, I haven't heard anything, they haven't replied to my emails. I might specifically email them a third time and say, hey, I'm just checking in. I don't know if you got my other emails, but I just want to make sure that reading is going okay. Are you still able to leave a review? Let me know. It's a relationship. It doesn't have to be really formal. It can just be you checking in and being like, hey, is everything going okay? Let me know if I can help out, if you need a little more time. It would mean a lot to me if you'd still leave a review. I'm super excited. I hope that there will be a lot of reviews for The Secret Curse if you're curious and you want to see how my art team does. This book is coming out January 26th. I'm very excited. I will link it below and you can click and check it out. See if it has any reviews yet on Goodreads before release and on Amazon and other vendors after release, obviously. Before you go, I'm trying to think of a nice way to say this. I don't work for KDP. I'm not their help desk. So if you need help troubleshooting anything, definitely talk to their help desk. I won't be able to help you. Just friendly reminder, because I typically get a lot of comments asking for help and I never know the answer because I don't work for them. But I will say most of the time my issues have been because I accidentally used the wrong email to send a book or the reader didn't complete one of those two steps correctly. So typically my very first step if I'm troubleshooting is to say, hey, just double checking. Can you go back and look at the Kindle email you gave me? Make sure it looks right. And make sure you approved this email address and make sure that I actually use that email address. I hope you have amazing success with this. Let me know in the comments if you've done ARCs this way before or if you're going to try it. And I'm wishing you a really amazing release. Again, if you can't do any other book marketing, this is the one that I would most recommend that you do. And I hope it works really well for you. Good luck.